And I feel that way, like being 25, turning 26 in some environments, being like, I am just such a baby compared to these people, but they're taking me seriously.
That could go two ways, couldn't it? Of just like, I feel so insecure being so much younger than everyone here. Or like, I'm hot shit. I'm the youngest person here, and I'm, telling them what to do.
Hey everybody, what's up everybody? Welcome to Almost Cool. We are back with another week of just juicy topics to discuss. I'm over here.
Juicy
Hooter is over there.
I'm over here, I swear. Look at that. We got it on the
Yeah,
first try this
Look
time.
at that. Hell yeah, bro. That's going to get easier and easier. God
It's going to get easier and easier. How you doing today, buddy?
Dude, I'm feeling good. My best friend surprised me coming over, and he's visiting me in Philly. He just showed up. His story is so funny. He showed up. He planned this for months with my roommate Bailey, coming up to surprise me. And I'm like sitting in my room alone, just chilling. And Ben comes home from work, and he goes, "Hey man, how's it going?" I'm just like, "Oh, it's been mad chill. I'm just, we're catching up on our day." And he looks at me and he goes, he just goes, "Hey man, you excited for Ian coming up here?" And in my head, I was like, I'm going home to visit Mama Bear for Mother's Day. So I was thinking in my head, he said that because he knew I was going home. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm like gonna see Ian in like a few weeks. Yeah, it'll be nice." And he's like, no, like, isn't he coming? And I was like, "What are you talking about, man?" And so we had this weird interaction, and he left, and then I went like NSA mode. I was like, I have his location, like where is he with all his stuff was blocked from me. He blocked me from his Instagram, all this, like I could not find him. I was like, dude, he's got to be on his way. Like he just like
Boys MIA.
and this happened like 2 hours before he got here, and when it was like a whole month of planning. It was I felt so bad for, because I opened the door and I can't act surprised. I was like, "Damn, sorry, I found out you were coming, but like I'm so happy you're here." Like
Old Ben let the cat out of the bag, huh?
It was,
My gosh.
No, but it's been good. Like I think we have had a couple of discussions of just feeling the move kind of is taking a toll on me and my mental health. I'm just trying to struggling with these days, and him coming up here just it just settled me down. It's this nostalgia feeling, and we're best friends since we were kids. Finally get to see him catch up. I don't know. It just like put me in a good place. So I'm on top of the world right now. But it was really funny. I feel so bad for him. Like he was so close. He was so close.
Almost got it. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I love those surprise trips. Like Allison's friend, like her best friend from high school and growing up and shit. She still lives in Mississippi, and then she just showed up like last weekend. She's like, "What's going on, everybody?" Like, so like Allison was super excited. They went out, did all their fun things for the day, and then she just went home. Like, she literally just dropped by for an afternoon, and then she's like, "All right, I'll see y'all next time."
Oh, that's the best. Oh, that's like one of the best feelings. You're like, "Holy shit,
love that."
What? You just popped in to say, "Hey, wow."
Just drop in. Like Allison said, she's like, "Hey, what do you want to do with Courtney today?" I was like, "Wait, what? Like Courtney's coming?" She's like, "Yeah, she told me this morning." Like,
literally, I couldn't even say no. Like,
that's so fun. It was so much fun. She's a fucking trip.
Absolutely.
But,
it's always it's the best people that come to surprise you. Like they're good vibes if they're coming over to be like, "Oh, let's go!" Like, I'm here. Like,
yeah.
You're about to get into some reckless stuff.
Some shenanigans.
Yeah.
Some tomfoolery, mind you. Ooh, baby.
Oh, it's the best, man.
I love it.
Yeah, have you been? You've been traveling, and good to be home.
I just went to LA for a wedding. Wedding was fun as fuck. I do not remember some of it, but I do.
As it goes.
Oh man, like one of my best friends from growing up, my friend Kenny, he came as well, and like this dude is just, he's like that. He's got that right amount of ratchet in him to really just liven up any situation. cracks me. He was just like, Kenny's like this, this just like gung ho, like he's like, let me show y'all how my uncle taught me how to dance, and like. Kenny's like Guatemalan and El Salvadorian, and he like comes rolling in with just this little hop skip, like 50-year-old uncle to the oldies dancing. I was just cracking up,
the
bro.
suave master,
bruh, man, look good.
That's so fun, man. I haven't been dancing in so long.
Go dancing.
My
man.
legs are feeling it. Like my boogie shoes have dust on them. Holy shit! No, that's true though. I love dancing. I love going out, but I don't know. I'm not saying I'll ever do it again, but it'll feel weird at any point from in this future. It feels like to be in a crowded room dancing on strangers.
Oh nah, I'm excited for it.
You excited for it?
I'm excited. So I didn't know this, but apparently, like after you've had COVID, you have to wait a certain time to get your vaccine, and I cannot wait for my time frame to be over with.
Nice.
So I can just go get this stuff done and
absolutely.
Return to normalcy.
Philly opened it up to the public, so I was able to go get my first round. And now my second round's in May, like early May, so I'm excited for that. I'll be fully vaxxed up and like ready to party.
Ready to go, baby.
Ready to do my thing.
I'm so excited. Oh man, but
well, absolutely. Well, I'm excited to get started today, dude.
Let's do it, bud.
The Mirage of Adulthood is what we're going to talk about today. I think because like it's so funny. We were talking about nostalgia, and that got really like on my mind. I was like, man, it's crazy growing up, and realizing that like adults don't have it figured out, and like I don't know. I think I'm a little age biased on some things, and I need to clear that up and like why that is. I don't know. I heard a quote once that was, when you're a baby, you're like looking to your parents as being these adult figures, right? They're always right. They're the ones that are showing you the way. Like they know right and wrong. And then you get older and you start like kind of coming to realizations on like the flaws that your parents had, or whoever was like raising you, or in the whatever environment you were in, the flaws that that are present. And then you realize, like, I don't know, when you get to this age, like we're in our mid-20s, and it's like I'm coming to this realization where I'm flipping the coin, where you don't really grow up. You're just I think somebody said it, it's not my words, but it's like we're just babies who got bigger, essentially.
Yeah.
And that mindset, I get caught up because the mirage of adulthood is something I struggle, because I view age as such a barrier between me and people sometimes.
What do you mean?
Like people, for me, it's hard to. I don't know what it's in me, what drives this to per se, but it's hard for me to really make genuine relationships with people older than me. And I don't mean people like family members. I'm thinking of if I have a coworker who's in their mid 40s or older or something. I'm thinking like we're generationally different. There's a gap between us, and for some reason it's in me where and this isn't, I don't know how to describe it, because I don't feel this way actually. It's just like a thought that keeps running in my head, and it's an anxiety that I keep telling myself enough that sometimes I believe it more than other times and stuff. So like with when I was a geologist working with Arcadis, I keep going back to this, but it's like the most recent professional experience I've had. And a lot of the people that hired me and the people I was working with, like I said, I was the youngest in the company or the office at the time. And I felt like they were so much older than me. They were smarter than me. They knew what was going on. They had everything figured out. And to an extent, they do, of course. They've worked there longer than I have. They have more life experience. They do, for that perspective. But I wanted to be viewed as, I can do this job. I'm intelligent. And I felt like this, like, I don't know how to describe it, this age barrier where they have it together. But then I had moments where it clicked in that, like, I forgot my age or something, where I felt so much younger, and I was not going to be, like, I'm not on the same playing field at these people because of our age gap. And then, but really, like I said, we're all babies who just got bigger, and we're just all still figuring it out, and we're all in this, like, and I don't know. I had a few experiences where I felt like I was being genuine as a person, but like the way I was feeling about these relationships was that we would never be friends because of how much of an age difference we are, and it was because of the, oh, you're older, you have this thing figured out, you're, and then I don't know, like having a couple of conversations with people that were older than me that treated me like I was a grown ass person changed my perspective.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So like, I don't know what it is, but I'm kind of on the opposite end of you, to where if I have like an older coworker, they generally become my best friend at this place. Like,
Okay.
2 of my best friends in the world right now are like, they're like 60 years old. You know what I mean? It's such
absolutely.
It's a weird thing to hear about, but like, after we met them, and because I've told this story before of Allison and I were bartenders at this place, and this older couple came in. Their grandson was just born, and so they came into the bar, had some drinks. We all laughed for however long. Then they just kept coming back, and then they invited us out to go drink with them and have fun with them and like meet their daughter and grandson and all this stuff. And now like they picked me up from the airport, like from LA, like the other night at like 11 o'clock at night. Like
That's awesome.
it's so funny, but it's just they don't. I do want to say that I am picky about just people in general, not so much people older than me, but people who actually genuinely want to hear about what you're doing and how you're doing and what you're going through.
Yeah, exactly.
And just sharing good times. I don't give a fuck how old you are. Like, as long as you're cool, I want to be around you. I think you're fun.
I think this is, I don't want to say that I don't have, like, if people are friendly to me, it's like I have this like coworker, her name was Sarah. She made me feel all the time that I was equal, and like we were always joking with each other. I felt like on even planes with her. Right. And that's the thing, is I can click into that. Like I'll be friends with people older as long as like it feels this genuine, like you don't look at me as like this naive little kid. And I don't know what I like made this complex up, and I have like a kind of a theory based on it. Of where, so like the phrase, sometimes I forget my age. Sometimes I forget that I'm a grown ass man. And when I'm in situations like a professional job, I'll feel so much younger, like not even age wise, just like mental capacity. Like I'm not equipped for this. I'm not like emotionally prepared as like, or, I don't know. I'm just like, I feel like maybe their perception of me is like, maybe they look at me a lot younger than I think that they look at me, and I don't know why that is. And this happens with some of my like parents' friends now that I'm getting older. I've known some of them my whole life, and they're not treating me like kids anymore, but they're still like this, like, you're my parents' friends, like you're so much, like, you know what I mean? Like it's like okay, the way I can describe this is like me and my brothers. You know how my brother, or you don't know this, but my brother growing up, he's 6 years older, 7 years older than me, whatever. He's just, he babysitted me and took care of me as a kid. He turned 21. I was like still just entering high school, and we're just on different life paths. I get to be 21 to this age now, and this little barrier, we became friends. Like we became, like instead of him being my older brother and having to do this, like have these responsibilities over me, or like, this pressure of maybe an obligation as an older brother. I'm the younger one, so I don't know what that pressure would feel like. But we're friends. We can drink. We can go out and drink we can have conversations, and I can tell that these conversations, we've had enough life experience to, and the vibe of it is very. It's like heart to heart. It's it doesn't happen all the time, but I feel it's definitely on equal playing field. It's like we're giving each other advice, we're going back and forth, and we're shitting on each other, we're doing whatever, and it feels like this equal, like this feeling of like we are. The age is not the barrier if there was one. You know what I mean? But for me, it's like I don't know, this whole thing where. Like I don't click into that immediately when I meet someone older than me, and I want that to change a little bit. I don't want to immediately go, you're older than me, maybe like I have to like try a little harder to be your friend or like something like that. I shouldn't have that perception, but I think being the youngest sibling and growing up, I think it's like a complex of being too guided as a kid. And maybe hear me out.
Define guided.
Guided as in So when I was raised, or when we were raised, or in this society, we're conditioned. We're like a project. Like we start off as our parents are like they're growing this thing, they're teaching it, they're raising it, and they're teaching them or teaching us and passing down these beliefs and this system that they were held to when they were growing up. And it's like it trickles down into you. And I hope it's like the basic things, like treat people how you want to be treated, just like be polite, manners. I hope that's everyone's. I know that's not everyone's experience, but I think with that, like I think I was raised in the South, which is a huge honor code state, basically, which means like there's a lot of social implications and social stresses that you feel as a member of a family in the South, in the sense of like if I didn't do something, like if I didn't go to college and I was doing another job and wasn't making enough money or something, my reputation could be hindered because my family, I haven't lived up to this standard that my family has created.
Right.
And I'm saying this is an extreme. This isn't like my family, they haven't cut me off and nothing like this has happened. It's just like thoughts that have kind of passed. But, sorry. Okay. And then and then you when you grow up, sorry, I know I'm like going in thought, and this is totally where the mirage of adulthood comes in, because you get to a point, and especially I know I reached this with like the rejection period as you grow up. So you're taught all these beliefs and you have to follow your parents' rules, and then you hit this weird gap. You start in puberty, all these emotions start like you reject everything. I hate my parents. I do this. Things like you just kind of mad at the world for some reason, and then later on, at least in this process, I'm coming to a lot of realizations in my life of how things actually were when I was growing up, in the actual implications that they had, and I'm not rejecting my parents, but it's like you come to realizations, you start seeing flaws in the way you were raised, or like gaps in things that you were like, well, I was raised to go to school, and then you have to go to school to get a good job, and to be, you have to have a good job to make a lot of money, and you make a lot of money to be happy. And it's like, that's a very generalized baseline for that, but that's like the kind of the standard. So when I was in high school, like I felt this this pressure from my family. It wasn't like they didn't say it to me. They didn't say like they weren't yelling at me. They wasn't I wasn't gonna eat dinner that night if I didn't go to school or something. Nothing like that. But for some reason, I think a lot of people if they're close to their family, they feel this pressure to prove themselves as a member in the family, and then
100%.
So I felt this obligation to go to school, and that was just the next step. I didn't know what I wanted to do in college. I had no clue, but I went because I felt like obligated in some form or fashion. And this is why I'm saying too guided, because I'm not saying I wasn't exposed to the option of like, oh, you don't have to go to school, but I wish I had more perspective on what opportunities are available, what you can do, what you actually can do as a person, and what it means to like not go to school and still live your life. Because, school is such a privilege, and
you're not wrong.
So I wasn't like my perspective of this was so small, and then I got to after college, and then I realized like I'm free. Like I graduated, I'm kind of free. When I say that, I just mean I have the choice I got my degree. Now the only pressure that I feel is like, oh, I have to get a job. And that's like, that's more on myself because I need to eat and shit, not because I need to get my parents and my family are very much supportive of like, oh, I'm just going to get a job that makes me happy. That's like really, if I call them, I'm saying, oh yeah, I'm happy. They don't give a shit how much I'm making. Like it's nothing like that. But, I don't know. It's like I learned that I was a project my whole life. And like I clicked into this where like I was like manufactured and manifested in all these different people's beliefs, and then you reach this point, and the mirage adulthood is like that is happening to everybody. So like my mom and dad were raised that way, and like there was a certain part in their life where they were like, no, I'm a grown-ass person, but it's not like for me, it's not a light switch. It's like it's a gradual change to feel like I'm an actual adult. I don't know when that part comes,
I think so. A common thing. I hate that I use like the same general ideas.
Yeah. Sorry, I know that's really discombobulated thought, but I just
no, not at all. I always feel like when I'm trying to explain something, I always, refer back to like 3 different ways of thinking. And I think adulthood and maturity are two things that get muddled together as well. And so when we think adulthood, I think when we as children view adults, we're like, oh, wow, look at them. They are so smart. They are so put together. They have all this money. They have all this free time. They can do whatever they want. Ice cream for dinner? Go for it. They can do that. I can't. Maturity is just having that sense to do what's right and wrong, whereas adulthood is just age, right? It's just your development as your physical development as a human being. Like you are in prime physical condition right now. Do what you gotta do, blah, 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 blah. But maturity is like, let me do this for the sake of, my happiness. Let me do this for the sake of my family's happiness, for my responsibilities to do. I think that's where I see this mirage of adulthood is just the misunderstanding of the word, not so much adults have this better life, because honestly, fuck that.
It fucking sucks on this side, man.
No, I'm totally over it. Like, I'm totally over it. As an adult, quote unquote, I miss, and I think this is so funny that like I was telling Martin before we started recording that, like, dude, like I didn't have too many big thoughts on this topic, but one big thought that I did have is that adults are constantly trying to relive the things that made them happy as a kid. Constantly. Maybe it's a more elevated and mature version of that, but how many times do you see, like, my grandpa or my dad? My dad's a perfect example. My dad used to ride his bike everywhere as a kid. Like, he'd go on these long bike trips. He'd go from, like, St. Rose to downtown New Orleans, which is, like, 15 miles away or something. He'd ride his bike across the levee and just explore the city and then ride back, and had the best day of his life. Now my dad wants to just fix a bike. He has a bike, ride it around. Just enjoy that simplistic, this is what made me happy as a kid. This is my happy place. I know that. And he wants to dedicate time towards that. And, so many other people, like I used to love playing football. There's literally a whole profession of playing a children's game for millions of dollars a year. Like, it's $1 billion industry of people just playing a children's game, and how all these adults, all these fans, they relive these experiences of loving this game as a kid and throw their money at it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely, yeah.
We want to enjoy those things that made us happy as children, because that was the happiest times of our lives, when we were ignorant and dumb.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Just very simple-minded. And I don't know, it's like a place of homeostasis, a place of normalcy, to just be content in an activity of what it makes you sane,
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I think it's so funny because that perspective goes across the board. Like, if you're a kid experiencing a game for the first time, you go back to that game hoping it's the same amount of fun it was before. And like, as an adult, I mean, you're doing the same thing, like you were saying, probably more in a mature and sophisticated way, but in some form or fashion, still doing those same things, which draws me to that same like point I was trying to make, where their age, like, we're just babies who are getting bigger. We're all still like figuring things out. We're all still doing things that make us happy, or I don't know. It's it takes a lot of arrogance on my part to say I feel like that I'm not good enough. I don't know, like not even good enough, just like that I can claim to be an adult, that I can claim to do this, and I don't know. Maybe I'm getting
no. It's like it's. What I think you're saying is that we constantly try and compare ourselves to the measure of society's adulthood standards of what an adult should be, blah, 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 blah. And when we fall short of that, it's like, oh, damn, like, I'm just a stupid kid, or, I'm not good enough. I'm a terrible knockoff version of the perfect adult, the perfect grown-ass individual.
Yep.
When I don't think that really exists. There is no such thing as a perfect adult, because all these big, successful, perfect adults are always, either breaking the law or doing all these immoral things and doing all these insane things. That's like, damn, like, what? Like, I'm glad I'm not him. He's in all this hot water for all this dumb shit that he does.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be that, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's too much. It's too much. Like, oh, man. So, like, as a mature adult or as a grown person, maybe our childhood tendencies just get magnified. So if I was a greedy ass kid, I'm going to be a greedy ass adult who just does whatever he can to take as much money as possible, even when, like, you know, when people have a net worth of what's Jeff Bezos' net worth, like $14 billion or something stupid like that, probably higher. Like, you don't need $14 billion, but there's some aspect of ourselves or some aspect of his psyche that I have to be the best. I have to be at the top. I have to have more. Don't need it, but I have to have it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's obviously an extreme example, but controversial, and it's a little off topic, but I think that's kind of good. I think that's kind of good for us.
You think so?
A little bit. Not crazy good, but I think people that have that kind of drive and just fire under their ass to get shit done, just to prove to themselves that they can do something. I mean, that's innovation. That's where all the innovation comes from, for the most part. It can go to extreme, you know, ridiculousness a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But a little bit of that, I think, is kind of good.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's great. I don't want to, like, I think, okay, because I'm thinking like innovation and like that kind of mindset. Like, think about this too. We were talking about age and the way, I think it's more of an issue of a matter of taking yourself seriously and people taking you seriously as you get older. But like, if you're I mean, we hear stories of like geniuses as kids. Like curing cancer and making these crazy innovative pieces that are going to change the world, and they're like 14. You know, it's crazy, which is amazing.
That was Elon. He made PayPal when he was like 17 years old or something.
Exactly.
Like that.
Like these wonderkins. And you know, to me, it's that where you are so smart. You have like a tangible thing that you created. You are, you know, super focused and super driven, and you did it at such a young age. And now people that are older than you that have been working on this you know, project, or the, you know, in the science field, or whatever that case may be, in the same field, are now going to back you up and take you seriously, even it doesn't matter your age. Like, and that's, and the question I have is like, and if you're one of these people, I would love a perspective of this, because when you're 14 and you have people that are like 50, 60, sometimes 70, you know, whoever, all these professors or all these scientists have been working for years, now are taking you seriously as a 14-year-old, which is great. I think that's amazing, because it shows that they are still willing to learn from the youth and like get, you know, like trying. It's great because they, you know, maybe it's you know, they're working with, so it's like but as a 14-year-old, I know you in no way feel like an adult when you're surrounded by all these like scientists and like people who've been working for 50 years, and I just, it's that feeling like you were capable, you are intelligent, you are so smart, you have all the abilities to do what all these people have been working for their whole entire life, but it's just like, maybe your age is like, and this is more of my mindset, where my age is, it still plays a factor in me, because I'm gonna feel like a 10-year-old amongst this like collective group of people, even if, you know, and I feel that way like being 25 turning 26 in some environments, being like, I am just such a baby compared to these people, but they're taking me seriously.
That could go two ways, like, couldn't it? Of just like, I feel so insecure being so much younger than everyone here, or like, I'm hot shit, I'm the youngest person here, and I'm, you know, telling them what to do. Like, it can go to different. It can go to
you can get really arrogant, or you can get really insecure. I took the insecure route, which is no, one is not better than the other. It's you have to find that good medium ground, that good balance. But I just like that feeling of being like, you know, I'm turning 30 on Thanksgiving, which I thought was really cool. Like 5 years from now.
I was about to say, wow, time has
no, I just like scrolled through and found it. But I'm thinking when I'm 30 and, you know, a 5-year jump, I'm I'm like, it's still gonna have the same mind and this same persona, the same like, the same
Relatively.
person, relatively. And when
Relatively,
I'm
yeah.
saying that is just like, you know, I'm still gonna be. I feel like I'm gonna like I feel like 30 being, but have like a mindset of a kid. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
I'm still gonna
yeah.
feel like a kid.
You're gonna be young
even
at heart,
though-
yeah.
Young at heart, and it's great to have that feeling of it, like, oh, I'm young at heart. But for some reason, when people take that too literally, like for me, I'm like, oh, I'm young at heart. I think it comes off as immature and maybe like a little playful, maybe too kiddish, if that, I don't know,
Right.
maybe childish in situations like that, but it's really not. Like it's just
How
me being-
juvenile.
yeah, like how like everyone's gonna like sip their wine and be like, how juvenile. Wait, and that's never the case. Like I made some like my coworkers laugh. Some of my coworkers have said jokes that I was like, oh my god, like, you know, like it doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
it's just I'm learning to like just be really cool and not have any expectations or any biases on forming relationships with people like that, or like I'm just uncomfortable in that situation, like forming like if I was to be dumped in a group of people that are significantly older than me, it's like I would love to have a good time, but I think I can only have a good time as if my perception of them is like, oh, they're treating me like I'm serious, or they're treating me like
Right.
I'm equal. And I will say, like, if I'm talking to people that's like got some years to them, I'm never like we're equal, because you have so much life experience. I love listening to stories and like learning from your perspectives, and that, and I know I'm not arrogant and be like we're equal. It's like you have to treat me like that. I know I'm a kid, but blah, blah, blah. But it's like I don't know. It's maybe I, as a young kid, as like being the youngest sibling, I wasn't taken seriously very much. I don't like, this is just like things that I off the cuff thoughts.
Right.
Not saying that's happened, but I don't know, maybe things like that, you know, like maybe being the youngest, people didn't take you seriously, so now like I have this complex of like no one's gonna take me seriously because I'm still like this young kid. Because like I will say, being the youngest in my family, I'm like one of the, like, I'm on the younger end of the cousins too, so like as my family's getting older, it doesn't matter, like everybody's aging every year, so I'm still the youngest in my family, so I still feel like the youngest in my environment, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So like it's like it's a weird, I can see if my brother had a perspective of like, oh no, I'm an adult now, like I pay my bills, and like I'm taking care of
401k,
like I'm taking care of my siblings, I'm doing this, like there's responsibilities that he had that I never did, that probably pushed him a little bit more to feel like an adult, or I got my big boy pants on today, you know. I haven't had a lot of responsibilities other than myself to really push me to feel like I'm an adult. And when I say that, I'm and it's a really, I feel like that just like, oh, you know, my life hasn't been that hard, which maybe it hasn't. It hasn't. Let me be. What am I saying? It hasn't at all. And when I say, you know, it's hard to compare in like life and what trauma means for everybody and that kind of deal. I'm not comparing any, but in the significance of this case, I don't know how severe this issue is. Like, I feel like it's just something you like get over it, dude. You know, or is it like something you actually have to like kind of digest a little bit? You know?
Yeah. I think it's important to. A funny story comes to mind where, oh man, I think I lost a friend because of this one, but but I had a coworker who was like maybe 8 years older than I was, and she took that as she was better than me on pretty much every way, of just, I'm smarter than you, I've had tons of more life experience than you, which I think that's bogus, because you could be like a 40-year-old person who literally just stays at home, and I have more stories by the time I was 20 years old that go past anything that you've ever done. That's arrogant. But anyway,
I think it's just funny how like
bro, dude, I'm not even lying. Like, I think, what were we talking about? We were talking about something that's irrelevant, and I said something that I thought I had a bit of knowledge on, and then she said something saying, Jordan, I'm almost 10 years older than you. Like, I'm smarter than you. I'm right. And I looked at her, and I was like, oh, man. Like, I'm about to tear this girl to pieces. What does she hate more than anything? And and so I said, I'm like, okay, I'll call her. Let's go with Deborah. Okay?
Deborah.
I said, okay, Deborah, by that logic, Donald Trump is over 2.5 times smarter than you are. How do you feel about that? And she's just like, it blew, like, he has more life experience than you. He's better than you in every way. And she...
Way to shut that down.
She lost it and did not talk to me for, I think, a week and a half because I had upset her so much. And I don't think we ever became good friends after that. But it was just one of those things where, like, you're going to try and shame me for being younger than you and saying that you're right because you are older than me. I'm like, if you never study, you know, if you never play drums by the time when you're 35 years old, right? Never picked up drumsticks. I've been playing since I was like 9 years old. I'm 8 years younger than you, and if you picked it up for a year and say, well, I'm older than you, I'm
smarter.
I'm better than you. I'm like, that's so false because I have so much more experience in this in my younger years from you. In a shorter amount of time, I have learned more than you have. That's a case-by-case thing. Not everybody is smarter than everybody on any, you know, on every scale. That's just stupid to think.
Absolutely.
But it drove me nuts how she used her position as an older person to try and downsize me. And so I just made her mad.
She said, stay in your lane, Jordan. He went,
I said, what? I cut across 4 lanes, baby.
Just to prove a point. I love it.
Just to prove a point.
Way to cut it out. Way to cut that. Way to shut that down. Yeah, I will say I haven't been blatantly, and not from at least what I can remember, being like, oh, you're young and you're dumb, so your opinions and your thoughts and what you think, it doesn't matter right now. I haven't been blatantly told that. But I mean, like, with my anxiety, I have felt that perception of people. Right. And so, yeah, like most of the time, like I don't know, especially in my job, you always kind of want to go to bat for yourself, especially if you you know you didn't do anything wrong. And I'm good at, like, I'm fine with sticking up for myself, but it's like you could stick up for yourself, have some really good points, and then being like make really logical, argumentative points that really back up why you did it and what, like, your reasoning and your intentions and things that, like, make it, I'm not saying unexcusable, but like you own it,
right?
But you know, but someone's like, no, you're still young, you're just still fucked up, like you're still, maybe that's a bad example, but I don't know, maybe it's
no, I get what you're saying.
Like, just because I don't know, maybe it's like that perception of like, because I did fuck up and I'm like, they're like, their reactions were like, oh, I mean, sorry, it happens to everybody. But in my head, I'm thinking they're like, you're a dumbass kid. Like, you just don't know better, blah, blah, blah. Which, like, a little bit is the case because, like, I was new to the job, new trained, you know, you mess up and make mistakes sometimes. I get that. But, yeah, no one ever was, like, blatantly, like, you're so young and dumb. You don't know anything about what you're doing. Like, no one ever said that to me. So I don't know what the social anxiety that I produce in situations like that, why that is.
Do you think that you have because we have like these generational like viewpoints on issues and just society, that you don't feel as if you can connect to the prior generation's views on things, and that's why you kind of separate yourself?
Absolutely. I think, I mean, like, just in the past, you know, year or two, just the division that's already been, like, that we've already not created. It was already created, initiated, and manifested. But the division is so much more clear now with, like, all the things going on. And I'm not getting political, but it's like this thing where you immediately click into, like, oh, you're older, you're Republican, we're not gonna be friends, like, because we just have this viewpoint. So I don't necessarily think it's like, I'm open to people being different. I think it's great. I'm aware of the difference, at least the major differences between the generation that's older than us and our views, like the ones that are like really blatantly obvious.
Right.
But I don't know. Maybe I go into it with a little bit more of a hesitation because I'm already thinking that you're going to start, if you're older, then you have that belief and you're going to start spilling shit on me. And I'm like, I don't want that.
I think that's your problem, bro.
Yeah,
I really do.
But it's and not in a spilling away of like conversation, because I will say, like, I've been in several situations where someone is older than me has drastically different views and has not changed my mind, but has opened me up to being like, wow, I actually really never thought about it that way, and having conversations. But a lot of those conversations with older people, if it goes that way, you have no perspective, you get shut out, like theirs matters, yours doesn't, and you can't have a conversation. So I think maybe that's another reason why, is like not being like maybe a repeated offense of not being validated in my own like growing up, for not growing up but like my own belittle, you know. I'm never saying like my parents think really highly of me, they love me all that, and they encourage me and support me, but and it's a weird thing to think about, but it's like I don't think it has to be said either, but never been told literally out loud that your thoughts and feelings matter, and you're a person, and you exist, and if you're uncomfortable, you're comfortable, it's like state that, like things like that. I've never been told that like to my face, like I'm someone who processes it that way. Like I'm so in my head with anxieties that, you know, it's when I'm thinking of like, oh, I know that from my parents, it's a thing, but I fabricate things in my mind all the time. Maybe I just fabricated that. So for it to be real, I know it's like a thing, you know, my parents think that of me, but it's weird to make the connection unless it's actually said. So and this is all just kind of up in the air, but I don't know. Yeah, I think maybe like political views don't have anything to do with it, but yeah, I think just like general generational bias, it exists in some way or some fashion. And so yeah, I would definitely say it was a very good question. Because I mean, walls are created and barriers are created all the time. Figuring out which ones are with, you know, certain people. That's good to know. Mine's never political, thank God.
I think to that I would just say that it's important not to lump everyone into one group. Everyone is so different. We all make completely different choices in life. And yeah, some things can't be put into a box, but we all have different motivations to why we believe the things we do. We all have different thought processes. And I think to be a good adult, it's important to realize those differences and not to make those, and going back to judgment, baby, not to make those initial judgments on people. It's like, oh, you're a part of this group, well, I want nothing to do with you, because you never know why they're a part of said group. You don't have to agree. That's not what we're saying. You don't have to agree, but who knows? You know, you could, it could be just an interesting conversation. Yeah.
Let's eliminate the judgment that adults.
Let's get rid of adulthood and place more maturity.
Let's just get rid of adulthood. Fuck it. I'm staying a kid forever.
Let's acknowledge adulthood is just an age, and maturity is you grown up.
Yep, exactly.
That's the growing that we all want to see. That we all talk about.
I agree, because age should not be the discrimination that's holding anyone accountable for being and feeling validated as a person, or like feeling that their relationship is genuine. Because you hear the stories all the time of like little kids who were raised by their grandparents and stuff. You know, I mean, I don't know. You just have to. I have to get way more comfortable with that initial thought, and I think to do that, having more conversations with people older than me, being like more comfortable in stating my mind in front of people that are older than me. Because like with that complex of not, you know, I'm thinking everyone, not shrugging me off, but thinking, oh, you're, you know, young kid, your perspective will change. It probably will.
Right.
But not taking that as like a dismissive quality, maybe like just maybe take it as that, like, yeah, you're right. Things will change. But you know, I do need to be more comfortable with the follow up and be like, it will change. I get that, but I'm dealing with it now. Like, you know what I gotta be taken seriously now, because I can't just wait 5 years and be like, oh, finally it's solved. Like, that's not the way I work, you know?
I think this is just a random thought, but for us as people to be more reassured with our own beliefs and our own way of thinking, we have to be exposed to those ideas that we think we don't agree with, just to be sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a scary thing. And it's not everything every grown-up does, because Lord knows that's not true. But for us to be better as people, we need that open dialogue of, okay, right off the bat, I don't agree with you, but I want to understand why I don't agree with you. I want to know more, and who knows, maybe something could change, you know, just to find that truer self that we have. Because if we're only exposed to one thing, then that's the only options we see, and it makes it so limited that we're all just going to end up being the same. You know, we're going to get rid of individuality.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's always funny for me to get advice from older people. It kind of it kind of feels like I've had really good instances where I felt like they offered a perspective view. They're like, hey, here's more perspective on your situation, something to think about. And then I've had the opposite, where like, damn, like that fucking sucks. This is the way you handle it. This is what you should do. This is, if you don't do it, like I know what's best, because I went through it or whatever, which is great. I love personal experience, but I don't know, just like it comes with arrogance of like somebody older being like that. What you experience, like, I'm so much older than you, I know what this is, and it's like, you do to an extent maybe, but not to like every individual's perspective on it. So
but
I think
don't discount my experience with it as well.
Yeah,
you know
and
what
I
mean?
think and I would say as an adult and mature thing is to drop the arrogance when you're talking with younger people. And then I would say on the other end, on our end, is like as a young kid perspective, just always be open that we don't have things figured out, and it's always great to get advice and insight and perspective from someone that's older, like on purpose, like, being like, hey, you are deliberately older than me, I need more perspective on like how this actually may work out in life, or right, because I get caught up in I like we were talking I love us bouncing ideas off each other. I love like the dialogue and the banter we create, and it brings a lot of points of or a lot of things into perspective and points of view, and to highlight those. But it would be completely different talking with someone that's twice our age and like has like the same mental awareness thing, because they have dealt with. So in my case, I want to know what they're like. I'm dropping the like, I don't know everything. I'm inviting all of that information my way, but don't think that you're better than me when you tell me that, if that makes sense. Maybe that's like that's a perfect scenario. That's like a perfect like conversation between a younger and adult person, like when it's an exchange of perspective and information.
You need to come down and meet my 60-year-old friend John.
Hell yeah, okay.
Honestly, you really do. Like, very down to earth, very just like, hey, you're getting older, you have these responsibilities. I know you do. So let's talk about those, Just an all around good time.
Absolutely.
But I think this is a solid place. The next couple weeks are gonna be a smidge shorter than usual, just because of time limits and time constraints and whatnot. But I think we got a lot of good stuff out.
Yeah, it's just like I just had like a really random thought on adulthood, whether that meant anything to anybody or like if that made sense. But I just have this it's coming of age story of this weird. It's realization is like sometimes it hits you like a light switch, and then like this was one that I heard a podcast talk about this a little bit, about babies getting bigger, and I was like, damn, I am just a baby. Like
I am a big baby.
I am a big baby. Where are my pull-ups? I literally, when I heard that we were just babies who get older, I literally was like, I'm a big boy. Like I'm a big boy now. Like straight up.
Oh my gosh. Good idiot.
I got my big boy pants on today. It's an attitude. Last comment, like there are some days you wake up though and you just feel like a sassy ass person, and you're like, all right, I'm a big boy now. Maybe it's because you dress up a little bit. Maybe that's it. But for me, anytime I'm like formal, I'm like, all right, I'm busting.
This is
right
the
now.
persona today, baby. What's up? Oh man. But anyways, thank everybody for coming in. Oh my gosh, I love how much you make me laugh, dude. It cracks me up. It's just little simple things.
Little things.
But thank everyone so much for stopping by once again. You can follow Martin at creation_of Martin on Instagram. You can follow me at Jordan_Hooter_. Follow us, the unit. At almost at Almost Cool Pod. And if you have any thoughts, you want to email us about something, you want to chat about something, please feel free. Send an email to almostcoolpod@gmail.com. If you're listening to the audio version, check out the YouTube version just to see our dumb faces sometimes, you know?
Yeah, put a face to the radio voice.
Put a face to the voice.
Sometimes I actually purposely know that they have one on YouTube and I don't go watch it.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So
There's one podcast who I didn't know what they looked like for so long, and I built up these images, and then when I finally saw them, I was like, dang. Like,
don't say that, we're going to do that, John. Damn, this is what these fuckers look like.
So, I mean, if we sound great and just hot as balls to you guys, don't check it out.
Don't check it out. Yeah, just say it to the radio.
But thank y'all so much. We'll be back next week. Marty, love you as always.
Love you too, buddy.
Thank y'all again.
Peace.